Want to see what I just figured out how to do with the SuperTrickler? I'm actually going to weight sort brass with it. Now, I know that eventually they're going to have this function available, and that's fine. But in the meantime, I need to sort a bunch of brass. So, normally, you would have to put it on the scale, either write down the number or input it into like an Excel spreadsheet and then sort it later. And that takes a lot of time. And if you are trying to, I don't know, if you're trying to be really accurate, obviously, every time you go to key in a weight, there's a potential to fat finger it. So I thought there's got to be a way to trick this thing. And sure enough, there is. So I've got my box of brass over here. Okay, so there's my brass. I have an empty box, and I've already sorted 100 in another box. So this is box number 2. So this will be 200 to 299. And, well, I'm sorry, actually it'd be 101 to 199, box number 2. And then the other box is 1 through 100. And then I'll do 500 total. And then I will show you sorting on the sheet and all that stuff. But what does this require? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to pull out the SD card. And in order to do that on the SuperTrickler, we are going to, where is my, so I just use a nice rounded end of these tweezers, and I am going to just push that in, and I'm going to pull it out, and we're going to put it in our computer, and I'm going to show you what files to delete so that you have an absolutely clean data file to work with, because that is going to be critical for this workaround. So I'm just going to show you right here. Now, I'm sure there's other ways that this might be able to be done. You know, and this is as of today. It's possible file structure could change in the future, but all I did was go into log, and it automatically creates these CSV files. So just so I had a fresh start, because with the brass sorting, I really wanted to make sure I had them all. Now, if you don't want to get rid of these error and load files, you know, these numbers are going to be so much different than your normal load numbers that, you know, technically you could probably still keep these files and just, you know, copy and paste into a new Excel file, just the ones that have the, you know, 200 something grain changes. But in this case, I just went in here and I just did that. And now you're just going to, in my case, I'm going to eject this, and I'm just going to go stick it back in the machine, and it will automatically create those 2 files again. This time they're completely fresh with just the information I want. All right, so you saw I put the card back in. It now has a completely wiped log file in there. Now, I just happen to have a second scale, but for the purposes of this, you could just set this next to your scale and take care of it. So what are we trying to tell the scale? Well, we want the scale to record the readings, right? And we want it to think that we are throwing a powder charge. So what I've done is I've gone into the profile here, and I've set the tolerance to plus 300 grains, and that gives me plenty of room for my PRC brass, and that's all I have changed on the profile. And all that's going to tell it is, as soon as I put a piece of brass on, to take a weight, and it's going to think it through a good charge, and it's going to record it. And then I've set my desired charge weight to just 0.01, right? So just as low as possible. It doesn't really matter, other than I just like having it as low as possible so I know roughly what my weight is on the brass as much as possible. So what we're going to do, the other thing to keep in mind is it's going to show you the total successes. So it already shows me 100. That means it's ready for success 101 right here. And the other thing that we're tricking it is we're not putting a cup on. Now, technically you could do this by putting a cup on. You could put it on auto. You could put the cup on, let it zero out, then put the brass in the cup, then pull the cup off, then put the cup back on. I tried that. It's much slower. So all we're doing is manually hitting start every time, and that's going to reset this platen to a 0 point, and then we put the brass on. So I'm going to show you how fast you can weight sort 100 pieces of brass. So you ready for this? We're just going to hit start. Okay, that's going to zero it. I put it on. It says remove cup. That goes into the 101 position. I hit start again. And we're just going to keep going. Now, making sure you know how you are organizing them in your box is critical, because I am not numbering these in any way. The only thing I have to rely on is the fact that I'm putting these in a particular order. Whoops. Okay. So that one I messed up on. I still have the right number. I still have 6 in here. I am going to clear that and start over. And because it was a discard, I'm still good to go. I have 7 in the box. It still says I have 7 successes. All right, and just like that, we are good to go. So the way Lapua does, a lot of times there's an extra piece of brass. I'm going to hold on to those till the very end, so since I don't have room in the box specifically for them. But now I'm going to finish off the other 300. No sense making you wait. As soon as I'm done, we'll move on to what I do with the spreadsheet, and then I'll show you how we pull the brass out. At this point, we've pulled the micro SD card out of the SuperTrickler. We've put it into our computer. In this case, it's this untitled right here. This is what it's going to look like. And right now I'm in Excel, so I simply hit File Open, and then I'm going to choose the loads here. You could also use like Microsoft Explorer or Windows Explorer. You could use the Finder system in a Mac. Whatever you're doing, you just need to open it into whatever spreadsheet system you're working. Now, I'm not going to technically do that right now because I did two different file sorts. So I did 1 through 200. I took a little bit of a break, but in the interest of not losing data or having an accident, I went ahead and just pulled the card, saved 1 through 200, and then did 201 through 500. And this file simply represents all 500 in one place. So what do we need to do? Well, first we are going to get rid of all of this because we don't care about it. All we care about is this error column because that's technically the weight, because remember that was everything over 0.01. So we're just going to delete all these. And then we're going to delete this column because we don't care. We're going to come over here. We're going to insert. We're going to call this one brass number. And this one is no longer an error. It's actually my weight. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to get rid of this right here. And then we need to insert our actual, we're numbering them, right? So here's 1 through 505 right there. So there's all 505. Now that we've attached a number in order that I sorted them, we're simply going to go in here. We're going to do data. Yes, I know I could have gone somewhere else, but there's different ways to do it. We're going to do that. And then boom. So we sorted low to high. So you can see 220.13 is the low. And all the way down here at the bottom, we've got 222.83. So not a huge spread, right? I mean, but literally across 500 pieces of brass, it's basically a grain. I've seen higher, I've seen lower, I'm sorry, we're from 220 to 222, so a couple grains, 2 or 3 grains. So we're going to do this, and all I need to do now is basically pull out the top 100, so I would simply go through my boxes, and I'll show you here in a second, but now we're going to pull out, literally piece of brass number 20, then 381, then 235, then 4 with 11, and we're just going to keep on going down the line here like that. Now, what you can do if you wanted to is you could come back over here so that you don't have any confusion. And, I could simply come down like this and choose the first 100. So right there. And then I could, if I wanted to, do something like this. And I could just put that here and then come back down here. And we're simply grouping them into hundreds at this point. And then there'll be 5 at the end that we're not going to use, but those will just get used for something else, so that's fine. All right, so now I can go in here and make sure that I'm not going to do anything weird or pull the wrong ones. And if I wanted to, I could actually cut this out and then bring it over here, and now it's in order. So I know that I'm pulling, to 100 or whatever it is. So I'm going to now take my laptop over, open up all my boxes of brass, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I've got my empty Lapua boxes, and this one's just numbered 1. And now I've got my spreadsheet over here. And what I'm going to do is when I pull it, I'm going to put an X in the column that's on the right-hand side here. But the first thing I need to pull is number 20. So over on the left, I have 0 through 100, and then 101 to 199. Here's box 3, box 4, and box 5. So I need brass number 20. So that's going to be right here. Okay. 381. Okay, so think of it as 0, 1, 2, and then 3. So 381, so that would be this one right here. Okay. Right, because if you look, 10, 20, 30, 40, 81, right? So there's 81, 381. And, you set it up however you want, but for me, I just know that, this is going to be everything in the hundreds, the 200s, the 300s, and then the 400s. Okay. So 235. And you might want to do something like this to make things easier. So, this is box 1, but I could put zeros. I could put 100. I can put 200. Just visually if you need a reminder. There you go. And then these are my 501, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so, and again, I've got an X over here to show me, but I need 235. So that's going to be this one right here. Okay. 411. So this is the 300 box. This is the 400 box. 10, 11. 311. And so on. So you can see the process. I'm not going to bore you guys by showing you the whole thing, and I'm not really here. I'm not like debating the merits of sorting brass or not sorting brass. In this particular case, believe it or not, I'm sorting this for somebody else. But I thought it was a really great opportunity to show you a way to kind of trick the SuperTrickler into being a really great way to sort brass without, really being able to make mistakes. Also, keep in mind, you are dealing with a spreadsheet. So if, and I can't remember if I said it before, but you can enter new numbers. So if you have something and you're not sure, just reweigh it, put a new number in, and resort it. Like, it's not the end of the world. So anyway, I hope this helps. Yet another use for the good old SuperTrickler. And I'm sure we'll have more to come. You guys have a good one. We'll talk later.